Hey guys, this is Kevin Hildebrand. Would just like to help give you some energetic tips to get started your first 90 days in real estate. I think back 29 years to when I got started in real estate. The biggest mooring line I had at the time was I was 26, but I looked like I was 19. I always looked really, really young. And back in those days, in the 90s, most realtors drove Cadillacs and wore suits and ties every day, which I never felt very comfortable with. So I looked out of place. I looked young, I looked out of place. So I look back and sold over 5,500 homes now. I look back and like, wow, if I was starting today in 2023, what would I do to get my business rolling? Just like to share some tips with everybody. First year in the business, I did 24 transactions. I still worked my full-time job. I essentially just worked from 6 p.m. on every day and Saturdays and Sundays. I think the business has kind of come full circle to where we're kind of back where things used to be in the beginning, and that is establishing and building rapport and relationships with people. I think people get into business nowadays, into the real estate industry, thinking their friends, their neighbors, their coworkers, all those people are just going to reach out and call them just because they're, hey, I'm a realtor, or here's my sign, here's my business card, call me. That's not how it works, guys. You need to be proactive. I'll give you a simple analogy. Our industry as realtors, we're similar to farmers. Think of the old guy on his tractor. He gets up every morning and plants seeds, waters, nurtures, and then sells the crop. We're kind of doing the same thing. Every day you need to get up and prospect. Prospecting is similar to going out in the field and planting seeds and watering and nurturing. You have to be on the phone every day calling people. You just can't get your real estate license and think people are going to call you and expect you to help them buy or sell a house. Starting out in the industry, it's a lot easier working with buyers. I don't think the buyer is worried about how long you've been into business, how much you really know, how great a negotiator you are, all these things. I think the buyer just wants you to be on their side and available to help them get through the struggles of finding properties, getting into properties when it's convenient for them, and getting them to the closing table. They just want, there's an old adage, nobody really cares how much you know until they know how much you care. People just want you to care and help them, and that sincerity will come through in helping people get to the finish line, which is the closing table. The other adage of that is separate yourself from the outcome. You getting the closing is irrelevant. You always have to do what's in the best interest of your clients. So question number one is always, if you were starting today, what would you do differently, or what would you do? The first thing I would do is I would make a database. And you can do it if you don't have much money and your broker doesn't supply it. We're at EXP and we have a CRM and website that we get free that's tied to being at EXP, that we can, very deluxe CRM called KV Core. We can put all of our database into that, but you can do it with note cards. You can do it with a notebook. You have to reach out personally on the phone like the old days and call every single person you hope would call you to do business with you. People that already know you, people that already like you, people that already trust you. Simply just call. There's no such thing as the perfect phone call. A bad phone call is better than no phone call. Everybody spends all their time, I call it the real estate effect of having a rich desk. I'm gonna go to this seminar and it's gonna tell me how to do all this. I'm gonna watch this video, it's gonna tell me how to do all this. Nothing is more effective in today's world than building relationships through calling people on the phone. We're in a world where texting, emailing, DMing, etc. is taking precedent. You set yourself apart by getting on the phone and calling. Hey John, this is Kevin. I wanted to let you know I got my real estate license. As you know, I've bought and sold houses. I've moved many times. I have a lot of experience. I know the neighborhoods. And it's always best to ask, who do you know that could possibly be moving in the next 90 days? Don't say, do you know anybody who's moving? Because the simple answer is always no, I don't. Who can you think of that could potentially be moving in the next 90 days that I could reach out to? Or looking, who do you know that would have a need to purchase a home in the next 90 days? And just ask for business. Do not be afraid to ask for business. Simply like when you're showing a house and you get to the end, like, hey, do you think you guys want to buy this? Just do the basics. You're not splitting the atom here. You just have to remember, as a real estate agent, your business is you. You're not going to get your real estate license at any brokerage in the country probably that's going to just hand you business and expect it to be easy. Everything you do is a result of the phone calls and relationships you make. One thing I learned early on in my career was doing what's called dollar productive behavior. I still like to go in the office early. I like to be at my desk. I know a lot of people are more virtual in today's world, but just to ask yourself, are you doing anything right now that's dollar productive to help you negotiate, list, buy or sell a house? So you have to be thinking that you're doing things that are productive, not just sitting at your desk hoping somebody calls you. Some of the questions you get asked are like, well, who should I call? I start out with friends, relatives, current coworkers if you're still working full-time, past coworkers, classmates, and you can go 4 or 5 years in either direction, because when you were a freshman you knew a lot of senior, when you were a senior you know a lot of freshmen. Your siblings, if you have siblings, they're classmates that you became friends with. Your parents' friends, if your kids play sports or you still play sports, other parents. There are so many. If you sit down and just make a list of people you know, you'll be absolutely astonished at how many thousands of people you know that you can feel confident calling and speaking to. Once you start calling people, you can make a note in your notebook, whatever your best way of keeping everybody in. You want to make sure you can go back to the 10 years from now to the first client you ever sold a house to, and you can reach them and understand and remember how you met them, because you'll want to stay in contact with them and nurture that relationship for your entire career. I still have people from 27, 28, 29 years ago that I still get referrals and still help them with their real estate needs. I've not done as great a job as I could have keeping all their data in that, because it was harder back in the day. But now with all the electronics and that, it should be pretty easy to build a database on Excel, Google Docs, whatever CRM you use through your brokerage or decide to buy on your own. So just get on the phone, call people you have relationships with. You can find people that you have ties to. Secondly, find someone in your company or in your industry that's a realtor in your area that. And quite frankly, in today's world, it doesn't even have to be in your area. It can be anywhere in the country, but find a mentor. Find somebody you can go to and ask questions. You can ask your broker questions, and that your company, whatever company you start with, eXp has absolutely amazing training, all virtually done online, and also in the eXp world. Don't be afraid to ask an old timer or somebody that's a top producing agent questions. Most of them will be genuine and help you. Don't be afraid to ask. I have a list of younger agents that aren't even with our company that call me pretty frequently with questions, and I don't mind helping them. It's actually pretty rewarding sometimes to watch some of these young people grow. There's a lot of great information and training available on YouTube, through your brokerage, through eXp, etc. You have to be a sponge. You have to treat this like it is your job. It's not just, hey, I got my real estate license. If one of my friends or somebody happens to call me, you need to come in every day with the intention of getting on the phone and making phone calls and dealing with people that like you already. One thing I like to say is, feel free to post in the comments any questions you might have. Hey, what would you do in this situation? What would you do in this situation? One neat thing in our industry is we collaborate a lot with other agents, and sometimes I learn more from other agents than they actually learn from me. So we have this little saying called pearls. Anytime somebody, fellow agent, comes up with an idea that we think is a pearl, we write it down and we share it with our team, and I learn just as much from other agents, sometimes helping them and giving advice as they do from me. So feel free to go to the comments, type in any questions you might have, and I'll be more than happy to personally answer them.